Well, good Monday evening, mid-Missouri. We've had some rain so far today. We still have a few showers on the board. From that, we might see 5/100ths of an inch or so, a tenth of an inch at the very most, up near Monroe, Audrain County, maybe into Randolph and Macon. We could see a few more drops, maybe northern Montgomery, but really, we're mostly dry the rest of the night tonight. Heading into the early morning hours, and we'll start that at midnight. So technically, from midnight through midday tomorrow, we'll have storms developing and becoming scattered, fairly widespread at times, but it's all about this corridor of storm action. And it's where storms fire. They'll fire into a line, and there's not going to be a lot of west to east movement. So we expect somewhere to be a swath of best rain values totaling anywhere between 1 to maybe 3 inches in some places, depending on where the heaviest rain falls and where we can get storms to train and kind of move over already soaked areas. So let's talk about the setup here, because it'll kind of explain what I'm talking about. We've got boundary, stationary boundary over near Wichita, stretching from central Kansas down to about Tulsa and maybe northwestern Arkansas. On the other side of this, there's what we call a low-level jet, or kind of a stream of stronger winds at the lower levels of the atmosphere. This is going to kind of move in right over that boundary and drive chances for storms later this evening. Those storms will have a lot of moisture to use to produce some heavy rain. And so we're expecting heavy rain from these thunderstorms on a scattered basis, but on a localized basis, we may see some flooding. The Weather Prediction Center having us in a level 2 out of 5 threat for some flooding this evening, just about anywhere here in mid-Missouri. But let me show you where the latest guidance is suggesting some of these storms will develop. This is something that's going to vary a little bit. We're cool and dry this evening until those storms develop. And again, we may not see it exactly here west of Marshall. That placement might vary, but wherever we do see storms develop, we expect storms to kind of continue off towards the south and east of that location and towards the north and the west. And what we're eventually going to see is that low-level wind kind of running up here against a wall and creating that wall of rainfall. We'll see storms generally move along this boundary. The boundary itself, the line of storms itself, is not going to make a whole lot of movement from west to east. And so that's kind of where our training and our slow-moving thunderstorms could produce some flooding, some isolated flooding. So that's going to be our concern. So notice the time. It's going to be, of course, wet for these locations overnight tomorrow, early morning. If you go to work before the sun comes up, be extra cautious with some of those low river crossings, those low creek crossings, places you know that flood easily. That's going to be our main concern heading into tomorrow. And this rain will start to slowly move off and die down as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Enough so that by 4 to 5 o'clock we should be dry across the board, and we'll have plenty of dry time tomorrow night. And then we'll see that boundary get a little closer. Notice you can see it in frame now. And that line of storms redevelops again late tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning. And that's where we could do it again. And then Wednesday night into Thursday morning, it could very well set up shop again, but just further towards the east near St. Louis. That's kind of what things are looking like right now. Now overnight, again, we're mostly dry. We'll pick up that better chance for storms after midnight into the morning commute time frame tomorrow. And that's where you really want to be on lookout for some of your local creeks, especially if you've had a lot of rain and it looks really wet outside. You may also check the radar, check your weather alerts before you head out in the morning. As we look towards Wednesday and Thursday, there's those continued but lower chances for thunderstorms. Confidence not as high the farther out we go. Heading into Friday, into Saturday, some isolated thunderstorms possible, and then maybe into Monday as well. Temperatures are going to be warmest likely as we get really close to that boundary Wednesday into Thursday. That might be just enough to put us back into the 90s before somewhat of a cold front comes through this weekend and puts us back into the 80s to start next week.